what free is, nigga? What's free?
All right, let's get started. Hey, everybody. I'm Nick.
This is
With
PSA.
PSA, Philly Service Announcement. TakeOver Tuesdays. It's a little crazy out here in Philly right now. Traffic is crazy. As everybody know, we are waiting that decision on the George Floyd case. So it was a little hectic getting here today.
And we missing
My
a couple
co-host,
people.
Rue,
Yeah.
he on his way. He caught up in that traffic as well.
Today's guest is. Introduce yourself, man. I already know who you is.
Hanif Spinata May. I go, by Hanif May now, but I used to go by Spinata. So I'm here to introduce myself to the crowd and to the sister and the brother, man. I'm happy to see this going on right here, man.
Exactly. That's good.
Where you from and what you doing?
Man, I'm from South Philly. I grew up in Wilson Park, of course, and, the things I do now, man, is just strictly for the community, man. I try. People wonder, they say, Neve, you don't ever put nothing on Facebook or nothing. I said, man, that ain't why I do things. I do things because, from my background and what I've done to the community, I feel as though it's something that I got to give back. I got to give back to the community in all ways, man. We in debt to the community.
Absolutely.
We took from the community, so we in debt to it, and that's what we got to give, man. So right now, I'm also a political consultant, so I'm in depth with political stuff right now. But I also do gun violence, and gun violence right now we know in Philadelphia is off the chart.
Yes,
But don't think, and I have a lot of misnomers about what's going on with gun violence, because gun violence was also this bad in Philly. It's always been bad in Philly, but right now it's so instantaneous for us. We can see it, we can hear it. Before a murder may happen in North Philly and South Philly, we would never hear about it.
Right.
But now unless the news went there, now we don't even need the news to get there. Instagram is
It's
there.
at the tip of your fingers.
Right,
it's right there.
So the gun violence situation is definitely one of the big things that I try to conquer. And I do it on the low. I know in dealing with young people, it's never about a bunch of grandstanding. It's never about a bunch of marching and stuff like that. It's about sitting down with them in places just like this, and being able to talk to them and being able to vibe with them and just be able to talk to them and get them to understand that people care.
Exactly.
That people really care about them, because a lot of our young people really think no one cares.
That's true.
Because that's what they've been come up with. I remember it was a time I felt like that,
Right.
So that's the main thing for the young people. And people, I hear people, well, the young people don't want to listen. They don't want to listen to you yell at them.
Right.
They don't want to listen to you holler.
Right.
They
Listen
want,
when we was young either.
exactly.
Right.
And we turned out to be good young men and,
But
and
that's
older
what
men,
happens,
so
you know.
that's what happens.
When you growing up, there's always that fight for
No
independence
question.
and
Make the
that
decision,
struggle
yeah.
between power.
No
When you're
question.
young and you're trying to gain your independence, you're gonna go against the
No
grain.
question,
You
no
know,
doubt, no
and
doubt.
that's what these young people do. It's just the matter of the sides.
Yeah,
the-
how much they do
the,
it. and
it's
how
just
they-
such a wide
Wow.
range of things that are bad out there for
Right,
them to get
right,
into. So
exactly,
when you have
exactly.
people like yourself
Right.
that's coming on the show and doing positive things and
Right.
giving them positive outlets, it makes a big difference as to which way they'll eventually
Right.
end up swaying.
Right,
You know?
exactly. And then, that's what we have to do. Like I said, I always feel as though I'm in debt. I'm a returning citizen. I'm an ex-offender. So the day I walked out the gate, to me, I was in debt to the community.
Hey.
You know what I mean? I took
Yeah.
from it, and I always tell people the story, like, you never know who's watching you. You
Right.
never know who's emulating you. Like when we was coming up, a guy came to prison and said, I used to want to be just like you. Never thought in my mind that somebody was trying to recover what we was doing. So
Right.
that's why we have that debt to the community and to these young people, to try to save them from just falling into the traps of gun violence, as well as just prison in itself.
Right.
So,
know.
let me ask you a question. When like, what made what helped you change your life around? What helped you? What was it that made you change your life around?
A lot of people probably would think prison, because I spent 24 years in prison.
24.
24 years. But it wasn't prison, because prison is a place where you got to get yourself together. It ain't nobody's going to make you get yourself together.
Right,
So you got to
right.
get yourself together.
Right.
So basically in there, you know, you it's about who you be around and what you do. So being around different people, and we had a like mindset of guys that felt like me, that
Right.
we had to get it together.
Right.
That we doing all these years in prison, and we don't want to be back doing all these years again.
Exactly.
So we had to get it together. We had to get ourselves together, and that's where it started at.
But all right, but it's hard when you come out here. Like, how did you start doing the things you start doing? Like, how did you
Listen,
start giving back to the community?
I won't lie, I had some bumps, man. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, it's a tough, but
It is.
But preparing yourself while you're there, preparing yourself and trying to just stay focused when you come home, because honestly, nobody's giving you nothing when you come home. I mean,
Right.
outside of your family,
Right.
And a few friends.
Right.
But I understand it, because nobody's supposed to have to take care of grown man. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
You're a grown man. You coming home. So, you know, it's just about staying focused and realizing that you may have some goals, and the goals have to be met.
Right.
And I tell you one thing, that once you have a family, it's like a total different
Right.
atmosphere. It's like
Right.
once you have children, because I
Yeah.
didn't have any children when I left.
Yeah.
So I had 2 children since I've been home, and it totally changes
It changes your
your
outlook.
dynamics of things
It
when you know
does.
somebody's counting.
It changed your outlet. It changed your outlook on life.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
It really
Because
does.
somebody, I tell people, I remember when I do speeches, I said, I remember when my daughter was about, she probably was like 1.5, and I was leaving the house, and she
Right.
started crying.
Right.
And I was like, I asked my wife, I said, why is she crying? She don't want you to leave. Like, and I'm
Right.
like, and I got in the car and I said to myself, I said, wow, somebody's really, really counting
Right.
on me to come home
Exactly.
every day and do
Exactly.
the things. So that changes the dynamics of your life and your thinking. You know, it don't do everybody. Everybody has their time
Right.
where they thinking gets better. So, you know, it don't hit everybody the same. And I was a little older, you know what I mean? So that helped. So, you know, just being there, man, being able to see your children grow up, man, is I know a lot of guys who didn't get to see that.
Right.
And I seen guys cry
Right.
because they couldn't. Some of the hardest guys you can meet, I seen them cry because they couldn't have a chance to see their children grow up. So, like I told you earlier, man, I don't got no complaints, man. I'm
Not at
blessed.
all,
You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
blessed.
we blessed.
Yes.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Just to be
Blessed
here,
to be
yeah, for sure.
Healthy
Mhm.
and
Exactly.
being able to see our kids grow up.
Right.
That's
exactly.
what it's all about.
Exactly. And, you know, then when you're doing the things for the community, like you're doing, man, it's just cherry on the top. Like you try, like I try to go out Wilson to the seniors and you know, just do things, man. And people, and you'd be surprised, like people really try to stop you for no reason. Like
Right.
they really try to block you. I'm like, are you really trying to block me? Like, I grew up here. Like, I took from, if you knew my past, you would be happy that I'm here giving
Right.
back, you know?
Right.
But it is what it is, man. Our people, sometimes we fall into that phase of not wanting to see each other prosper, man. But, you know, like I live by the thing that the law say, man, if it's meant for you, it's not going to pass you by, man.
Right.
If it passed you by, it wasn't meant for you. So
Right.
that's what I try to go by.
I see
man.
you in the community. I see all the positive things you're doing, man. You're
Yeah.
doing a great job, man.
I tried, man. I wish I could do more, man, because I see young boys dying, man, and I see them going to jail. And just recently, you know, a lot of things is going on in the city as far as policing. And now, you know, and this is the thing that scared me about gun violence that I tell everybody. The last time we had this type of violence was crack epidemic. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
So, and what they done, which was the legislators and all that done, was they had the most harsh sentencing laws came out of the crack cocaine. ever.
Absolutely.
So some of the harshest, you know, they lock people up at an alarming rate.
Mm-hmm.
Our people, black and brown people, which then later they found out, oh, this don't work.
And a lot of them people are coming
Right,
home
I'm
now,
coming home now
because the laws
Right,
have been
'cause the law
changed
changed.
again.
Exactly. So now we sitting here,
Right.
you guys, the gun violence, and y'all guys calling in the FBI and all the alphabet guys coming. So now y'all going to try to rush your way out of this again.
And it's not gonna work.
It's not going to work
You
again.
take
20 years from now, we're going to be right here again.
Because the
talking
people
about
that
it
you
don't
locking
work.
up, they kids is going to go to the same
Exactly. It's
cycle.
not. If you don't put any social dynamics, if you don't put anything into the community socially, then you're willing to let the community fail. That's just how it is.
Absolutely.
It's just how it is.
I listen. I agree. I'm kind of sitting here because I'm watching on my phone.
The verdict came in, y'all.
Did it?
The verdict came in. They said guilty on everything.
Yes.
Guilty on
And
everything.
History, man.
This
History
is
right
history
there.
in
History.
the
History, man.
making. It just takes
Right.
one step
No,
at
exactly.
a time. This right here is a major step
Right.
for our community.
And not to advocate violence. I remember when all the stuff was going on last year with the looting and all that, and somebody told me like, "Neef, but they just messing their own community up." I said, "Man, this ain't our
This
community."
is not our
ours.
community.
This
This ain't our
We was
community.
born here and put here, and
I said,
no.
"Man, this is not our community."
It's not. It don't belong
but
to us.
you look, in order for the day to happen, in order for today to happen, all that had to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Guilty on all accounts. Oh my goodness,
The
y'all.
other member here. The other member of PSA is here.
My co-host Jarue
is
is
here.
here. And
Better late than never.
It's,
You know, I got court and traffic.
no,
Everybody high today.
it's-
So
listen,
they don't know how to drive.
Listen,
You know what I mean? I'm going to blame it on that. It's 420.
listen. We just got that verdict in the
Yeah,
room.
man.
Yo.
Like,
So the first thing for me all the time with stuff like this is before we celebrate, let it play out a little bit. Because a lot of times in history, again, if we go back and look, we'll get what we consider a win and a bunch of bullshit come behind it. And then some of the people who are most important in creating our strategy, they get caught up in the celebration. So instead of saying, what is going to be the response to this?
Right.
That's what I'm thinking about. Because you always, whenever it's a perceived win for us, and it ain't, we know, we deal with it every day. We know that wasn't
That
no
ain't
win.
yeah.
You pulled the knife an inch out of my back. That joint's still in there. You dig what I'm saying? So, I want to feel confident in the system and think, like you said, it's another step because we going to push it forward anyway. But what's about to play out after this?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I ain't even talking about necessarily violence, but because Europeans react in a certain way when it's a perceived threat. They move on perceived threats a lot of times. And it's crazy because they be already having strategies set up for perceived threats. When we like, yo, you telling us that, we could talk about drugs. I feel like that's one of the things that y'all was talking about, like that chain of like shit just keep dropping on our community.
Exactly.
And then, y'all lock up all these people and then it's like, all right, we're going to change the laws. But all of these people have been affected already. And now it's a new thing that come from that trauma that they're doing to themselves. And you're going to blame that on them and then like gun violence.
Right.
It's not new. It's a result of trauma. Like it's a reason why our young brothers and sisters feel like they're not worthy. Like they're not worth anything. And if you feel, and I'm preaching this heavy, if you feel like you're not worth anything, you're going to treat everybody else like that.
The same way. Exactly.
If your life don't matter, nobody else's life is going to matter. But when your life start to matter, when you got kids, and it don't always change it, but sometimes people had kids and they changed.
Listen, that's what we was talking about.
we-
That's
Yeah.
what he
And-
felt. That's what he
and-
felt like helped change his life.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like helped change my life. That's what kids
And it-
is the
and it
thing
de-
that do it.
And also it depends on the stage in your life where you had kids.
Right.
Right.
Because luckily some people are at a level of maturity when they have their first child
exactly.
that they can appreciate that life being brought to them, So when you were younger and having children, not just to say this for all younger people, but A lot of times when you in that adolescent stage and you going through a transition and you having children at a younger age, sometimes you don't, have that luxury of being able to appreciate it because you're struggling yourself and can't find that medium right there. So I think that's important to note that, it depends on that level of maturity and the stage in your life when you have kids.
Like the brother just said, in dealing with gun violence and young people, one of the sayings we always say is that hurt people hurt people.
Ain't no doubt.
Right.
That's what happens,
Right.
On any level. It don't have to be gun violence. If somebody is in the house and they upset, they're gonna take it out on their little brother.
It can be emotional.
It's all kinds of
Yeah,
trauma, man.
it's
Trauma is crazy.
The layers of it.
Exactly,
Like it's
without a doubt.
It's in our DNA at this point.
Pretty much.
Like we come out the womb, and if the people around us haven't formulated how they've been dealing with their trauma,
Right.
every baby that comes from this family is going to be traumatized.
without a doubt.
Because y'all haven't, they're not around people who have figured out, like, yo, okay, it's not me, it's the system. But then that don't mean I could just quit or check out.
Right.
Now I got to figure out what's my strategy because this is what it's going to be. And we just had these babies.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
question.
So now I got to make sure that I'm healing at all times so that they can be healed coming out. You know what I mean? Because no matter what you teach your babies, and you're supposed to teach them everything and then bring people in and take them out to people to learn more, they still have to go outside and navigate. You know what I'm saying? They
And
still
that's
have to
where-
go outside and navigate.
They
So
out here in the world.
That's
and
where it gets tricky. You don't know,
exactly.
and I tell a lot. I had a conversation with a mother. She was feeling really, really bad recently because her son was going through some stuff, and I know her and I know her family. She's a great mother, but she felt as though like, honey, what did I do wrong? And I said, listen, you didn't do anything wrong. Once young people get outside, then it's a different ball game. They start making decisions on their own. It doesn't have anything to do with the back. Exactly. So it don't have any, like I tell people, I grew up in a family of 6. I'm the youngest. I'm the only one ever been in trouble in my life. No, none of my. So I can't blame it on anything else but me, right?
Because I'm the youngest. And I'm the only one. Like my brother, both my sisters, nobody got into nothing.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I was considered the one with the most potential.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? And that's a crazy thing because I court my case at 20.
Right.
I had already been on my own for 3 years.
Right. Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
No doubt.
So it was like when my mom used to say that to me, like I did, like no, you did everything you were supposed to do. You did everything that you knew. Like it could have been more. It could have been more stuff that you probably could have did. You made your mistakes, but you did as much as you knew.
Right.
The one thing when I'm talking to people and they be having issues with their parents, right? The first thing I be wanting to know is like anything that your parents didn't do for you, or you felt like they did to you because it was harmful. Do you feel like it came from a malicious place?
Right.
That's a question that you really need to consider. Do you really believe that your mom allowed or did things to you maliciously?
With malicious
I
intent.
don't care. Yeah, I don't care how bad it wind up being, and it can be bad sometimes, like really bad. But I need to know that question before we go down the I don't rock with my mom.
Yeah, because that changes the dynamics.
I don't like my mom. I hate my mom. You know what I mean? Or your dad, or one of your siblings. It's like, but more in particular, the parents. I be wanting to know, do you really believe that your dad did what he did with malicious intent?
Right. Exactly.
Now, some cats do. Some cats be like, fuck the kid. Fuck the mom.
No
That's
doubt.
malicious intent because you know you're intentionally moving on like fuck. But the cat that don't want to go around because he don't got no bread. And he don't know that presence is important.
Right.
For whatever reason, he don't know that. If I'm just around the kids, even with no money, I'm gonna have to take that flack every once in a while. Like, yo, man, how you don't get no bread? But I'm around all the time.
I'm here.
They know me.
That's going to end up being the most important thing, without
you know
a doubt.
What I mean? And it's different reasons. Like, you may feel like you're the children's mom is that toxic. Like, you and her are that toxic.
Right.
So it's like, yo, I gotta figure out a way. But in the process of trying to figure out a way, you're not there for your baby.
Right.
That's not malicious. It's stupid sometimes, like, damn, just deal with the toxicity. But then that might go on your kids. So it's like, that can go a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
It definitely can.
it's no malicious intent in that dude not being there.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Not saying that he is justified,
Right.
but just saying it wasn't no. And that's what I be trying to figure out when we asking,
Young
when we
people.
talking about our young people. Like, it's a lot of things that we can ask them that I feel like it can make them stop and pause for a minute. They may still, you gonna still have to work on them and work with them.
Right.
But that's one of the things I be wanting to know. You have this venom for your parent. Do you believe that they did things with malicious intent? And then we can kind of go from
Then
there.
you can go from
know
there.
what I mean?
Yeah. And like you just spoke on, man, we may take this as a win, but we not winning. We not actually winning right now. And
No,
I
we
say,
not winning.
And I say that to say, like I was saying before you got here, it's things going on in Philadelphia right now that a lot of young people are about to get caught up in. You know what I'm saying? So as we win, as you may take that as a win, a lot of these young people is about to go to jail. I'm
Right.
being straight with you. Is like they said, the ATF.
Yeah,
everybody's
I was
here.
going to actually elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah.
I was going to actually elaborate a little bit. I would know what you meant by that.
Everybody's, here, all the alphabet boys about this gun violence. And one of the things that happened is our narrative, we don't control it, right?
Right.
So our black legislators and people in the neighborhoods turn to legislators, white
Right.
legislators who
Right.
really don't know our community.
Right.
The first thing they do is, we got to make harsh laws again. We got to do all this. So that in the next maybe year, 2 years, it's going to be an alarming rate of young people going to jail. Some going to be innocent.
Yeah.
Some going to be innocent, as we
caught up
see.
in policy.
Larry Krasner got 18 people out of jail in 3 years. And that's just a small microcosm of what's going on, right? So that's what's going to happen, and that's what we have to look out for.
Right.
Like a lot of people get upset with me, and but they shooting each other. I said, man, I understand. I said, man, but when they come with these laws, when they come with the alphabet boys,
Right.
it's a whole new ball game. And listen, just up until the last election, Joe Biden got in trouble for the death penalty for the
Right.
crime bill. We was on him. Oh, he made the crime bill. They about to do the same thing all over again.
And they're going to use
Right.
cities like ours to justify.
To
You
put
know what
people
I mean?
away. So Pennsylvania has always been one of the harshest
Very
states.
draconian.
Yeah.
Very, very been one of the harshest states
It's
when
a
it comes to
commonwealth.
right. So
That's how it is.
as a
you know?
community, I tell people, man, this is one of the things we really have to be in tune to. I know the violence. I know we tired of it.
Right.
I don't want to see nobody moms crying. I don't want to see nobody little sisters and brothers crying. But at the same time, if we get 400 murders and they putting 1,600 people away a year for 20, 30 years, we losing all the way around the board.
And I'm not disagreeing with anything that y'all are saying, but I need to take that moment because
No question.
this happened in front of millions. People
Yeah.
saw
Yeah,
this
no doubt,
happen.
no question.
Let's look on the opposite side from the politics and the
Right.
laws and stuff like that. Let's look at the psyche.
Right.
The emotion, the trauma that people experience
No question.
when they watch that man
No
question.
kill that
Yeah.
man.
The guy
So
even testified to it. How he's
exactly.
trauma.
Like you know, okay, we still got a much bigger fight to fight, but this
This one.
just for the people
Yeah.
who were affected by
It's
this, for the
big.
people
No
who are
question.
out there
Yeah.
marching,
Yeah,
for the
it's
people
good.
who are out there protesting. This is something
good
that they
sign.
want to see.
No question.
You know,
No
of
doubt.
course, yes, we got a long road to go. But this is something that gives hope
Right.
in the eyes of a lot of people.
Even our young people who got to deal with the police every day.
Exactly.
They can see now, like,
Exactly.
damn, maybe, a lot of them seen that video. Just
Exactly.
imagine if he gets found not guilty, they looking at it like, man, we really don't have a chance.
it's
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
It's-
like you said, that's a great point.
Yeah,
really
it's
true.
it
It's a
affected
couple
people.
things. So the first thing that I want to do, that I have to do, is Tuesday Takeover, PSA,
PSA.
Philadelphia Service Announcement, 5 to 6. Check us out. It's always quality. I'm telling you, it's always quality. And in saying that, I need this brother to my left to tell y'all who he is again. Actually, because I was late and I need to
Yeah.
know my side. No, I'm just messing around. But I need this brother to tell us who he is again. Tell us what his resource is and how can people get it.
My name is Hanif Spinata May. You know, I'm known as Hanif now, as I said. In my bad days, I was known as Pinata.
Spinning boy, you was spinning for.
Some people still call me that, you know,
Right,
but
right.
I know if they call me that, they really know me. But what I do, man, is I'm a gun violence advocate. I deal with gun violence and trying to help the youth and deal with trauma, as you said. You know, me and a couple other guys that I had 8-9 years ago, we always would tell people that, man, trauma. This is trauma based, and nobody would listen.
Yeah.
Now everybody's, on the trauma
They
because
riding
they
the
find
trauma
right,
wave.
yeah, they riding the trauma wave.
They
So
are.
every candidate you see, everybody's riding the trauma wave.
That's a real thing. And
definitely.
But I have been around some brothers and sisters. I know who y'all talking about, just riding the wave because they hear it and they actually trying to thwart it because they're trying to create policy around it that's not going to work.
That's not
Right.
exactly.
But you got a lot of young brothers and sisters out here with organizations who are doing amazing research
No, absolutely.
on trauma
Yeah.
and how it impacts us at
without
every
a
level
doubt.
of our
Yes.
lives.
Without a doubt.
So I know who y'all talking about,
Yeah.
but I want to make sure you know what I'm saying?
exactly.
Because
No
then
question.
you know the society that we
Yeah.
live in. As soon as they hear y'all saying,
Right.
people riding the trauma wave, next thing you know, it's like, what? You shooting a shot at me?
Yeah.
Anybody that put
No.
trauma in anything, they gonna be like, Nick and Spinata was up there shooting shot. So just for y'all
Listen,
that want
I
to turn this
appreciate
and that,
that too, man.
you
I
know what I'm
appreciate
talking about
I don't want
though.
nobody
Just
doing
for
me.
y'all, the brothers and the sisters and the quote unquote allies. I always say that because a lot of times we be considering people allies, and then moments happen, and you show who you are.
Right.
So if you really are ally, you won't take offense of my air quotations when I say and the quote unquote allies, because you know you really doing what you're doing. So me
Right.
saying that doesn't even matter.
Right.
So for everybody who may get it confused, we see y'all out here. We see
question.
y'all handling this trauma. We're not talking about y'all. We're talking about mainly like political folks
Right.
and the organizations that work with them, and then some of the people who just like the copycat. But you don't have nothing in you saying trauma. But then when I say, give me some detail on how you're going to affect trauma,
you're not
and it's
informed.
not there, right?
Because you're not informed.
Exactly.
That's what I mean when I say
Riding
ride the trauma
Right,
wave.
wave. You just saying
Because
trauma.
if
It's-
you're talking
it's
about
just
trauma,
saying-
but you
There
ain't
go, sis.
informed about
Yeah.
it,
There
you
you go,
didn't
queen.
educate
Go.
yourself about it, if you can't help participate
Right.
in the
Mhm.
healing
Healing
process of
process,
people
yeah.
who has
Then you
experienced
shouldn't be
trauma.
saying it.
Exactly.
You shouldn't
And
be saying
like
it.
I said, when I came home in 2011, we always talked about trauma. Actually, I had a friend of mine, Hassan Freeman. He actually came home and went to school, got his PhD and everything.
Wonderful.
And that was our thing, and we would always try to tell people like we traumatized. Like
Yes.
we hear
Yes.
gunshot. Y'all
Yes.
say
Yup.
y'all say that soldiers and all that. We hearing the same thing. They may
Exactly.
get it at a higher level, but
Exactly.
we get our
PTSD.
kids is getting it every day. They seeing people get killed. So we know, man, that the trauma and dealing with people, hurting people.
Yeah.
That's how we got to get to these young people.
And the way we have to do it is we have to get away from this negative connotation about stereotypes in the black community about
Mental
therapy
health. Yeah,
and mental health.
No
Yeah.
question. No
Because we are trying to break away from that. For a long time, if you wasn't you had to take it. That was part of being tough.
question. Right.
You was sturdy.
Yeah, you had, exactly. Exactly.
Now it's like no.
Right.
Like you don't
No.
have to be able to tolerate all of that and expect it to be okay.
Exactly.
Right.
And like the brother said, man, we've been traumatized since we've been here.
Yeah.
It's in our
Yeah.
DNA.
It's in we
It's in
are
us,
descendants of slavery.
Of trauma.
We have
descendants
it
of
in
trauma.
our DNA.
Exactly. So it's always something, man, that's there for us that we need to tackle. And the
Absolutely.
mental health part of it is definitely mental health, as well as right now drug and alcohol treatment, the treatment for these young people on these pills and that stuff
Oh,
like that.
man. I wanna say something about the pill thing.
We have to get that under control before we can do anything.
I gotta say something about the pill thing. First of all, things get they get caught up in culture like it's the fad. You know what I mean? Like I heard it in the music coming. You know what I'm saying, with the pills and all that, and then now, for all of y'all who don't know about the pills y'all taking, you made yourself a dope fiend.
No question.
You a dope fiend. You might dress a little nicer. You might hear it in the music, but you a dope fiend. And you have and I'm saying this with love because I've been around brothers that used to, 17, 18, 19 a day. Right. They telling me stories about cats trying to quit cold turkey and dying.
Yeah.
That's what people that
real.
shoot it up in their arms. So y'all have this thought process that like The Wire, those were dope fiends. Right. No, if you taking 5 pills a day, you a addict. You a dope fiend. And I want to say it like that because I need y'all to kind of look. Y'all, like, we popularized taking heroin.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. That's what pills are, y'all. Anybody that don't know that, shooting it up, popping a pill, snorting it, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. I need y'all to really understand that. I'm not saying, listen, no, I am saying. If certain drugs is fucking different than each other. And we going to keep it real about that.
Drugs is drugs.
And the drugs, no, but seriously, Nick, I hear you. I hear you.
Drugs is drugs.
I hear I feel like that's more.
Drugs is drugs.
I feel like, no, like, I don't agree with that, Nick.
Why?
I don't agree with that because we are giving people the impression that alcohol is probably the worst of all of them. For real. Right.
Cigarettes.
But what I'm saying is they don't all give you the same response.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not even saying this because it's 420 because I'm not high right now or none of that. I don't even plan on getting high. But what I'm saying is we've been told that weed is like a gateway drug. That's a lie. We found out that was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The drug czars were saying that for years and years and years and pushing that into policy, sending it all across the country. And it's not the same thing. I'm not sitting here telling nobody that they should smoke weed. I'm not saying that. I'm not telling nobody they should drink. I'm not saying that. But crack is different from alcohol, man. Like, you can get some of the similar responses, but, crack is different from alcohol. Pills is different from smoking weed. It's different. Mm-hmm. It's just I'm not advocating for it. That's the other thing I need to get across. But they not all the same. And you could tell people not to take something and be real about what each thing do. So now we making them more responsible. It's like what I say about guns sometimes. We need to start taking our kids hunting at 7, 8, 9 years old. And you can learn a variety of things, but one of the things that you learn is the importance or the power of a gun.
A gun, exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? If y'all notice, and they do something funny with the news, and that's going to lead me into intersectionality. Because the brother probably didn't know he was going to be talking about that. But the sister put something really dope up on her Facebook. And I like to believe that I'm a cat that's informed. And they said some names on here. And I didn't know who these sisters was. You know, I didn't know who these women were. Right. My sisters, my queens, I didn't know that they even existed. And it shouldn't have been that way. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to just clip the conversation after I say the last name. But we know that Nick feel like drugs are drugs. It seemed like Biz was in the situation that said that drugs are drugs. The brother kind of was like teetering. I get what he's saying, but we all gonna say.
No. I actually agree with you. I think
I understand.
Some drugs
some are
worse than others for sure.
They are going to affect you in a different way. Yes.
No
right.
doubt.
This is what I feel like.
But it's all pharmaceutical.
This is what I feel like. I feel like everybody, not everybody, but most people do something, right? Most people do something to relieve their stress or to relieve their reality, whatever it is. A drink, wine.
Working out.
Some people do wine. Some people work
Going
out.
to the gym.
Whatever they do.
It's something to get them endorphin.
Writing.
Whatever you do, long it doesn't affect you in a bad way or hamper you from taking care of your responsibilities of what you're doing. I don't judge nobody. I feel like each your own. Some people sniff coke and they sniff coke on the weekends or some shit like that.
They function.
Like,
but I still,
but I wouldn't hold that against somebody that sniff coke.
Right. But eventually, as he said, drugs. If I'm a drinker, right, we know that drinking takes longer to affect me and make me not be able to handle my responsibilities. It takes longer to get to you in that effect. Whereas though heroin, pills, takes a short period of time. Not only that, if a person think they're the same,
addiction.
Right, if the person think they're the same, try going cold turkey off of Percocets. Just cold turkey.
might not.
Right,
be
and
I've experienced.
and
I've done
right,
it.
if you do that and look at a dope fiend, y'all will have the same experience.
The same. Talking about the same
Withdrawal?
Yeah, the same experience,
Withdrawal.
the same physical
Withdrawal.
experience. The same physical. It affects you. So we know that liquor, we know that weed don't affect you the way liquor do. You know what I'm saying? So, like he said, all drugs are drugs, but all drugs it don't affect us in the
But
same
again,
manner.
But addiction,
Addiction,
no matter
it eventually
what it
comes
is,
to addiction.
when it's
no
an
matter what it
addiction,
is, no
When it's
question.
an
I agree.
addiction,
it is going
don't
to
matter what it
affect
is.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
change your
Regardless
life.
of
And it don't have to be
It's
drugs.
people out
That's
here.
what I think she
It's
did.
people out here that are addicted to working.
No question. It don't
To
have to
escape
be drugs.
their reality
Exactly.
at home.
Exactly.
They will work
Right.
12-hour shifts at one job, go take another job,
sure.
and work 12-hour shifts. Like in addiction,
No
it's
question.
addiction.
Now
no
let me
question.
ask y'all this though. Let me ask y'all this. Since I don't want to go too far into addiction because we can definitely bring somebody up here. who
Absolutely.
deals- we will bring
Yes.
somebody up
Let's
here.
do that.
Who
Yes.
has an organization about that? But before we move to the next conversation, because that intersectionality is, I really do want to touch on that. I really want my sister to just go in on it and we can go from there.
she gotta give
But
me that.
the one thing that I'm trying to understand is, do we really look at addiction as a disease? Are you one of those, or not one of those people? Because that was like a shaming, John. Like, what? You believe this is a, do you think addiction is a disease?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I believe it.
All of y'all
Absolutely.
believe that it's a disease.
Yes, I do.
I don't.
It's
a
an
disease.
illness. No, I ain't gonna say a disease. I'm not gonna say
think it's a
disease.
I don't
I'm gonna
think it's a
say it's a
disease.
sickness. It's an illness. I
What
I
is
wouldn't
a
say a
sickness?
disease.
What is the illness?
I wouldn't say disease.
But
An
that's what
illness
I've
is
heard.
something that affects you in a way that makes you sick.
It's
Right.
disease
A
in the body.
disease is the same thing.
I
It's a
think it's
disease
all
of
right.
the body.
If you're gonna say it's a disease, it's an STD because it's something that you voluntarily. It's something that you voluntarily did.
Oh my gosh.
What I'm saying is, if you never tried the drug, you wouldn't be addicted to it. So
And on that note, we're going to bring some people up here who this is what they specialize in.
Yes, because I need to.
People up here that specialize in it.
Listen, because
That's sexual.
listen, oh my God.
I ain't mad. I ain't mad.
Yo, we open for all. We
It's
open
always
for
dialogue.
all
Dialogue
opinions.
is a beautiful thing, man.
So
regardless
before my
of,
sister go in, we gonna keep the brother one more time. Tell him who
Yes,
tell him who you are, what you
yes.
do. Oh, and before she goes into that, if they didn't ask you the question already, why do you do what you do?
right. Like I said, because Hanis Pinata May again. The reason why I actually do the things I do, as far as dealing with young people and gun violence, I do food drives for the seniors and the people out the projects and in West Philly. I do it because, like I said, I've taken from the community.
Right.
I've taken whereas though people emulated what I put out there. So now I know, like I told them the day I walked out the door of the prison, I knew that I had to be in debt to that community. I had to be in debt to the young people that's in the community, because if not, man, we come home, like I know a lot of guys come home, they just go on with their life, which is a beautiful thing, as long as they stay safe and stay. But me, myself, I always feel in debt. I always feel I took so much, on the same thing, like me and Biz talk, me and him talk. It's things that's going on right now that been going on before I was living in Wilson, that they were going on, and nobody knows why.
Right.
Nobody
can get to the bottom.
right. Nobody can say. If
But
somebody
motherfuckers
asks me
is getting,
today,
and I say it like that with emphasis, like, but motherfuckers is getting down.
yeah.
Like motherfuckers is getting
people
things
killed.
that been going on in
Right,
certain neighborhoods
yeah.
and certain hoods,
It's at an
and we like,
all-time
yo,
high, yeah.
it's a connection, but we don't know what is the impetus.
So,
like,
right,
what started
exactly,
this
what started
train of
it?
events that's causing
that-
all of these different
Nobody-
things
When
to
I
happen?
Nobody can
when I
actually tell
talk
you
to
why
the
he
young
mad.
guys now, they say, well, he killed my cousin. But your cousin got killed 2 weeks ago. What was going on before that? Why did you hate somebody from Wilson before that?
Somebody you never even met.
Somebody
Right.
you don't know. And this is why when I came home, I felt as though I was in debt, because I couldn't tell young people why I was fighting Tasker, why I was fighting Pass Young, why All I knew is my old heads done it, so I had to do it.
I don't
You know
like
what I mean? I ain't, they from the young. That was the code.
How
So,
long you did it, Gal?
24 years, yeah.
Ooh.
24.
So,
and I
I'm-
know with that, like, a lot of people, because I've been in prison, I did
Right,
mine.
right,
So
yeah, I
I know
know.
like a lot of people struggle with like change
Right,
as far as inside of the prison
Mhm.
system. I know that for myself.
right.
A lot of people, what was your motivation? Like, what changed you? Like, what made you want to change? Like, when I get home, I want to.
Yeah, what started that? Dope
I want to
question.
trailblaze something different. Like,
And,
what was your motivation
and let
in
me
that?
tell you, DOC didn't think I changed till I had like a year left.
Right.
Because
That's them.
I'm not gonna lie,
That's them,
in
that's
jail I was for my first maybe 15 years I was no nonsense. Whatever happened is we going to the yard, fight North Philly, we all that nonsense, right? But at some point it clicks in to say, damn, I'm about to go home.
Mm-hmm.
This almost over. You know what I mean? I got to get this shit together before we get things going. So that clicked in, and it was in jail. I was always surrounded by a good group of people. Even though I was in 12 prisons, I would go around. Everywhere you went, you knew who was good and who was bad. You know what I mean? You knew the good people
So
as well.
hold on. I don't mean to cut y'all off, but it's going to lead into what we're saying, and only from this standpoint. We've been talking about a male experience. Part of intersectionality is the fact that our sisters are not being framed with that same experience. So we can have this conversation knowing this topic is up next with one woman in the building, and we could dominate the conversation, and it'll be 2 minutes left, and we just involved ourselves in the same thing that was being said by a sister in there. So
Yeah.
So we going to
Without further ado.
yeah,
Let's go, 'cause
I couldn't
further-
explain. Even if I read it,
Without
I couldn't
further
explain
ado,
it
right.
correctly because I'm not a black woman.
Not to take away from the experience of the black man. So we all know in this country, women's rights are just as new as civil rights and voting rights and stuff like that. So when you have African American women who are women and African American, we are on both sides of the coin being discriminated against because we're black and we're women. So
The double minority thing they always talk
yes. So I came across this TED Talk. I'm currently attending Widening University's MSW program online. One of the professors at the school, gave this as an assignment to watch over this TED Talk. And the TED Talk was by Kimberly Crenshaw, and she is a civil rights advocate. And basically, the title of the TED Talk is called The Urgency of Intersectionality. And it basically talks about how race and gender bias combined can create even more harm to an individual. And one of the things she did that was very powerful, she asked the people in the audience, everybody to stand up. And she named all of the known black men who've been murdered by police violence in our country, right? And then she said, if you know these names, sit down, right? A large part of the audience sat down because they heard the names. A large part of the audience did not sit down. And then she went to name about maybe 10, 15 black women who were also killed by the hands of police. And no, it wasn't Sandra Bland. You know what I mean? No, it wasn't.
The usual.
It wasn't, who is currently being portrayed in the media. So why is it that there are so many black women who are being killed at the hands of police, but it's not being publicized like the black men are? So here it is. It's violence against a particular group of people, and it's not being televised. So you have this women who are a minority to men, and then you have black women who are a minority, and here they're intersecting, and there is dual harm in that sense.
Their trauma.
Is it? Yeah, no, it's definitely their trauma is it's even more intense
Double-fold,
because it's flip-sided. The
Right.
bias is
Right.
on both sides of the coin
Right.
when it comes to this particular topic. So I posted this TED Talk on my Facebook page. Nick Overby is my Facebook page. It's nothing
Nick
fancy.
Overby is her Facebook
N-I-K.
page. Follow
you know,
her.
It's nothing fancy
I'ma
or
follow you
anything
when I
like
get
that.
out of
Same for Instagram. But I myself, as an African American woman, tears came to my eyes because I did not know any of these women's names. So we all are, guilty of ignoring this major bias in our country when it comes to African American women.
The most unprotected person in America right now is black women. You can go look at it. You can ask them questions that would tell you that that's their experience. I had two of my nieces was in the car with me and one of my brothers, and he asked her. He was like, when y'all run into or y'all walk past or y'all come upon random black men, how do y'all feel? And they said, we feel fearful because anything can happen. Now, if I know them, I'll have a little bit of comfortability. But if I just see somebody, a black man randomly, they fear filth. Or one is 17 and one is 16. And that's not the first time I've heard that. I had the conversation with my daughter. Like, random black men, they scare me. If I go to the Chinese store, you know what I mean? I don't know what's about to happen. And even the fact that I got to think something is about to happen is trauma. The fact that I got to walk halfway up the street and see black men who are supposed to protect me. And I have to, it's a question mark. And then I have to put on a facade to go around them. That's trauma. I have to act like I'm a little tougher than I am. That's trauma. I got to squeeze my knife or my mace with men who are supposed to protect me. That's crazy to me. So that leads into that. And then the other thing, before I let y'all speak on what was said, the other thing about that is we're all imitation Jarue. So Jarue is a book about European thought. And it's a historical piece on European thought. It's a 700-page book. The sister that wrote it, her name is Marimba Ani. It's called Jarue. So that's what I call like white folks a lot of times. Some real. But I say we're imitation Jarue. So this patriarchal, toxic masculinity that black men imitate comes from European men. We normally follow the cues. You normally follow the cues of your oppressor, even when you think you don't.
Yes.
So it's even when my sister said about, women's rights. These were white women fighting for their rights against white men. And black women understood, but it was an issue there because it's like these white women are just as racist as the men.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So now we gotta play both. We don't know how to play it sometimes, and sometimes we gotta put. But in the end, not in the end, but what starts to happen is the imitation of white men. So now you start seeing sisters imitating this feminist thought that didn't have them as a part of their core values.
Right.
The mission statement didn't include them.
It didn't include
You know
us.
what I'm saying? So again, this is what we talking about again. The black woman is, because a black man can do certain things because he's a man. And he can imitate white men and do a little, he's still going to be black at the end of the day. But he still can come home and be over top of her.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? He can imitate it and be over. She has nobody to look to. The black woman has nobody, not her quote unquote fake feminist allies at time. The white man definitely don't care.
He don't.
And then you got your man imitating
The white man.
in the way that he approaches his woman. You feel what I'm saying? So what does that leave her? Amongst a bunch of other things, unprotected. Where her issues are not important. So now the news don't want to see a black woman that was shot 6 times or 5 times or however, whatever happened with those sisters, the news don't want to see it because she don't matter. She not good news. It's already an imagery around black men, the buck being killed. That can be exciting. It's like a hunt that's happening. We don't even know it. And they're watching it. They're excited by the hunt. So they'll show you that the cops are down on him, and then they'll create a bunch of different things.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's still getting publicized for us to know about it and strategize and move behind it. Whereas though they're saying that our queen, her trauma, her pain, her death, it's not it's not important. Not even that important. It's not important because she's the most protected person in America.
Or could they
black
be,
woman.
And
could they be saying the opposite?
which is
If you look at the civil rights movement, right? What really changed the civil rights movement is when kids and women were getting attacked. They didn't care about the men getting attacked. But when women, when people around the world got to see that they attacking women and children, this is unconscionable.
But think about what you just said though. The world. We talking about
I'm
America.
Yeah,
like, they don't recognize it.
I'm gonna bring it into America. When they seen that, they said, "Oh, the world, including America." Now, imagine if the George Floyd case, right? Imagine if it be on national TV every day and we see a trial where a woman got killed, where a black woman was gunned down
by police.
Yeah, by police. She was gunned down. That becomes a problem. Not just in America, but nationally.
I got what you
internationally.
And you know why it becomes a problem internationally? Because of everything that he just said. Because of the women, the way the male, the white male, looks at his woman. You see, we queens, not in America though.
Yeah. But
you see what I'm saying? Other countries, like the woman has she is very, very valuable.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And let me just say this because it's one of the things that bother me in the work that I do. Right? The black women's movement is beautiful, right? We know our black women they always been the backbone of us. There's no doubt about it. They always been the backbone. If you a man, right? If you a man, everybody's not a man. But if you a man,
a real man,
right? You want a black woman home, taking care, doing what she got to do to take care of us, and you doing what you got to do to take. You want that. That's what.
Not just home, though.
Right? No,
not just home.
I'm not just saying home.
Not
I'm
just
saying
home.
When a person come home at night, like if I'm working till 10 o'clock, when I come home, it's beautiful to see my wife there.
Exactly.
If she had to work overnight, I would be a.
You would be.
Yeah,
like
my
devastated.
wife ain't here, like,
You'd be devastated, right?
Get in the bed. I gotta sleep by myself.
You be devastated, right?
I'd be devastated.
Not hurt. You gonna be devastated, right?
Exactly. So that's what I mean by being home. You know, like if you a man, you know, what's going on now with black women? What we can't let it get to is the black woman versus the black man.
No,
no,
this is not. This is and let me make this clear.
I'm not saying you.
Let me make this clear.
That's why I said in the work that I do.
Right in this topic, in this discussion of intersectionality,
I think I seen
it is specifically the violence of police against women.
And why it's not. And this, you said something. I don't know if you meant to will it like that to make that point. But what popped in my head too, though, was one of the reasons why you probably don't want to show it strategically is because black men they'll start seeing it. Not all of them, but we'll be like, oh, nah. It should be. It is a real men. Real men again.
Situation.
Their response is gonna be like seeing another man.
That's
is heartfelt.
That is the point.
But seeing a woman is gonna make me respond.
That is the
like,
point.
That
is the point.
So that's different.
Yeah. Of course. They traumatize.
Imagine if that was a woman. I think the uproaring of black men.
Yeah.
But did you know
I hear you.
The martial arts guy that was there, he was about to.
Right.
Yeah. He wanted to get involved. Yeah.
He would have lost it.
He would have lost.
He would have.
Right.
He would have lost it. He wouldn't have.
And that's a bad thing that we're able to accept it with men as well. We shouldn't be able to accept that kind of behavior for our people under no conditions.
Right.
Period.
Under no
but
conditions.
strategically,
strategically, they not gonna promote
You right.
things that's gonna happen.
Right.
Because
They
seeing
make-
cops manhandle, I
Right,
just seen
a
some
woman.
Jones
Yeah,
like little
period.
girls that's like
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, the cops
That makes
throw
me
down in the
sit up a
swimming
little
pool.
differently
Yeah,
in my
exactly.
seat. Like
Exactly.
I'm looking around the back, like where the homies at? Like somebody gotta
Exactly.
stop this joint.
And not only-
and when I see brothers, it's like it's not that I don't care, but I don't have that
In the
same
swimming
visceral
pool, the
response
girl-
immediately. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
in the mall.
So
yeah.
He tased her.
Yeah, he
the
tased her.
the
Yeah.
woman taps into
It
that
does too.
emotion.
It's a
Shades.
different. And
She
listen,
taps into
as
that.
much
That's
as we
two
don't
shades.
say it, it also taps into it internationally,
Absolutely.
and that's pressure that they not ready to do.
Right.
And they,
Right.
but that's the pressure
You know
that
what I'm
we
saying?
We need to
Right.
put
That's
on
the
them,
pressure
like,
that
and,
we
we-
need to
we-
put
matter
and
of
I'm
fact,
bringing
exactly.
it on this
Right,
show
exactly.
because of that.
That's
That's what I was about to
the
say.
pressure we
Next
need to
week
put on.
we
Miss
need.
Crenshaw spoke a TED talk because of that.
Right.
We
You know what I
gonna
mean?
we
Exactly.
gonna next week we gonna have a political panel next week. But a part of next week is we need to get those names so we can actually say
Right.
those
Stop
names
putting
on the
them on.
air.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Right,
and
you
I
know,
have
next
them.
we should have been prepared. Not even should have been prepared, but I wanted my sister to talk about it so it can be out there. And then
Yes.
next week we're gonna come on and we're gonna
share those
say
names.
as many names as we can find of black
Right.
women who nobody know that the cops did them dirty
Right.
too, and it's probably
Exactly.
videotapes in the whole nine
Exactly.
with them too.
Videotapes.
And they felt the need for two reasons. Now I just took in from my brother right here and my sister. The one is we don't want to show them because we trying to make them like they don't matter.
Right, exactly.
So we don't want to show them for that. We're not going to frame this issue in no way. We're going to act like it didn't happen.
Exactly.
And then the other side of it is you might get another type of response if black
From
men
black
start
men.
seeing black women
Getting shot.
victimized the way that, because it's a different thing. It's kind of like that no women, no children thing. And we got away from that, but it's still a lot of brothers that's like, nah, dog, like you can't move like that.
Exactly.
Absolutely, that's
Exactly.
absolutely
Exactly.
positive. But before we get out of here, I want to make sure I want to make sure you get your information out again. Let people know where they can get in touch with you. Let them know how they can get holler at you.
All right, man. Hanif Spinata May. You can
Talk
reach
to the
me
mic
at
so they can
my
get you, Dave.
my email is powerequations@gmail.com. Just that's the name
your
of my
Instagram?
That's the name. My Instagram is Hanif.Yada
Facebook?
Facebook the same Hanif Spinata May. You can
on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter, but I keep it for business.
Okay, I got you. I
Give
got
it
you.
give it
All
to
right,
them
do
one more
your-
time.
Twitter
Give it
one
to
more
them one
time.
more time. Make sure they get it.
Hanif.Yada,
Mm-hmm.
Hanif Spinata on Facebook, Hanif.Yada on Instagram. You know, I don't post a lot of stuff on social media because I'm one of the type that think a lot of things got to be done underground, and that's the only way I think to stop a lot of things that's going on. I believe that if you're so much out in the open, young people is just not going to listen to you, period. So I do my thing. I might call some people to an office as I've done with Biz. Let's talk. Let's see what we can do to get things done, man. And you know, I got into politics. I went from the nonprofit sector to get into politics because I thought I could make a difference politically.
Right.
Because we need resources.
Right.
Yeah.
We need somebody to tell these people, like, we need resources.
Right.
Because if you locking us up, let us try some social stuff first.
Right.
You know, before you start locking us away and putting us in jail. So that's what I'm about, and I'm always going to be about it to my last breath. You know what I mean? And ending, I love my black women. But I'm
That's
telling
right.
you, I don't
don't
ever
wanna do the struggle
Olympics.
right. I don't ever want to. I got 4 sisters, 2 daughters. And a wife. I don't ever want a black woman to think and put in her mind that the black man don't love you. Because there's more of us that love you that don't.
For
You know,
sure,
we-
for
we-
sure.
For sure.
For sure.
Protect black women.
Now,
Exactly.
this is PSA, Takeover Tuesday. You got the host, Rue, Nick. You got my brother, B.I., and
What
you
do
got me.
What do B.I. do? Like, that's going to have to be a show in and of itself.
But I tell you
What is
man,
his title? What does he do, ladies and gentlemen?
I'm proud
I
of
don't
him,
know.
man.
I don't
I'm
know what he
proud-
does.
I'm proud
But
to
we'll
see
figure
these-
it out because he seems to be around a lot. It's like, no.
I'm proud,
Yo,
man.
PSA
I come here
Tuesday
to see this,
Takeover.
man.
I appreciate this
No
brother
problem.
for coming on, man. I'm hoping that I can get you out to a couple
Yeah.
events that
Yeah,
I'll be
just
doing,
give me-
be a
yeah,
part of
that-
some
I'ma leave my
mentorship things I got
information.
going
Leave my
on.
information.
You know, Biz, Maul, the Queen, Nick, we appreciate you, baby. We definitely gonna have them names for y'all next week, man.
Yes, absolutely.
Glockaware, y'all too, can appreciate you, homie.
PSA.